Have you ever watched a child stick their hand into a narrow jar to grab a candy, and then cry because they can't pull it out? Their little fist is clenched so tightly around the sweet. They don't realize if they just let go, they'd be free. But we do the same thing, don't we? We hold on to the things we once had, to the people we can't forget, to the future we wish would come, to the past that won't return. We grip our fears like shields, our desires like maps, our pain like proof that we lived, and we suffer, not because life is cruel, not because people disappoint us, but because we refuse to let go. The Buddha didn't teach thousands of pages just to complicate life. He wasn't interested in building doctrines or debating philosophies. He looked directly into the heart of human pain and saw one thing: clinging. Holding on is the root of our suffering. Whether it's attachment to pleasure, fear of loss, or resistance to change, it's all the same gesture, a clenched fist. But here's the question no one wants to ask. Why do we hold on to what hurts us? Maybe because it's familiar. Maybe because letting go feels like losing. Maybe because deep down, we're terrified of the emptiness that might come after. Letting go is scary. It's the space between what was and what will be, a void, a silence. But the Buddha saw something else in that silence. Not fear, not lack, but freedom. He called it Nirvana, not a destination but a liberation, the unbinding, the extinguishing of the fires of greed, hatred, and delusion. And the doorway to that freedom, it's not through adding more. It's not through becoming someone better. It's not through chasing enlightenment like a prize. It's through subtraction, through letting go. But this isn't just a spiritual idea. It's personal. Think about your own life. What are you holding on to right now? That old regret that echoes when you're alone. That story about who you should be. That invisible scoreboard you're trying to win at. What if just for a moment you could set it down, not fix it, not erase it, just release it? How light would your heart feel? See, all the great teachings, they're not trying to load us with knowledge. They're trying to unload us. Not give us more identities to carry, but strip away the illusions we wear like armor. The Buddha didn't offer chains. He offered keys. And every key is named let go. Not in bitterness, not in defeat, but in clarity, because to let go is not to give up. It's to wake up. It's to stop arguing with reality. To stop demanding that things last when they were never meant to. To stop building our homes in burning houses. Letting go doesn't mean we stop loving. It means we stop trying to possess. We stop holding so tightly that we crush the very things we cherish. True love breathes, it allows, it doesn't grasp. So maybe, just maybe, letting go isn't the end of the story. Maybe it's the beginning of peace, of clarity, of real, unshakable freedom. Because when the hand opens, not only does the pain fall away, but so does the illusion of control, and something softer enters, something still, something that was there all along, just waiting. We've only just touched the surface, because what we're holding on to is often hidden behind layers of habit, ego, and fear. So let's go a little deeper. Let's step into the illusion, the one that makes us believe we can hold on forever. Let's look it in the eye and see what lies beyond it. We plan, we calculate, we organize, we try so hard to get everything just right. And then life laughs. The job we thought was secure dissolves overnight. The relationship we held sacred fades into silence. The body we trained and nourished betrays us. The future we mapped out was never ours to begin with. Control. It's the illusion we cling to most. The invisible thread we believe is holding it all together. But what if the thread was never there? What if all this time we were gripping smoke? The Buddha saw it clearly. He called it anicca, impermanence. Everything is changing. Everything is passing. The leaves fall. The river flows. The sun rises and sets and never once asks for permission. And yet we resist. We demand that things stay the same. That joy lasts forever. That pain never comes. That people remain who we want them to be. But the world doesn't bend to our will. It moves with its own rhythm beyond our control, beyond our grasp. Still, we chase, like trying to catch the wind with a closed fist. But here's the thing, control feels safe. It gives us the illusion of power, of being important, of mattering. We craft our identities like armor. I am this, I am that. We measure success by how tightly we hold the reins. But deep inside, we know. We're just passengers on a ride we never bought the ticket for. Life is not a machine to operate. It's a wave to ride, a flame to witness, flickering, dancing, disappearing. And the tighter we try to control it, the more exhausted we become. Ask yourself, how much of your life have you spent trying to control what couldn't be controlled? How much energy has gone into forcing, fixing, managing? And for what? Did it ever give you peace? Or did it just feed the fear? Because fear is the fuel of control. We control because we're afraid. Of loss, of change, of death, of not being enough. But no matter how high we build the walls, the tide still rises. And yet there's another way. Not to dominate life, but to dance with it. To stop gripping the steering wheel so tightly and start trusting the movement. The Buddha taught that suffering arises not from impermanence itself, but from our resistance to it. We suffer not because things change, but because we expected them not to. Letting go of control doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we start flowing. It means we show up fully, but without demand. We live but without expectation. We love without possession, because the truth is, nothing we have, not our health, not our youth, not our loved ones, is truly ours. They are visitors, passing through our lives like seasons. And the beauty, the real beauty, is that we get to witness them at all. Control tells us, if you don't hold on, you'll lose it. Wisdom replies, you never owned it in the first place. So what if we stop chasing what can't last? What if we stop trying to freeze the ocean, and instead, we learn to float? There's a quiet strength in surrender, not the surrender of defeat, but the surrender of alignment, of trust, of opening our hands and letting the river carry us wherever it flows. Because maybe real peace isn't about having control. Maybe it's about having faith in life, in change, in the path itself. Faith that even when things fall apart, something deeper remains. A stillness, a knowing, a truth that doesn't shift with the winds. Letting go of control is not a collapse, it's a return to the natural rhythm, to the pulse of impermanence, to the freedom of not having to manage the entire universe. And once we stop trying to hold the world together, we might finally realize it was never broken to begin with. And so, with open hands, we begin to feel something we haven't felt in a long time, space, not empty, but alive, ready for something real. And within that space, a whisper arises. What if the teachings of the Buddha were never about gaining anything? What if they were about losing everything we never truly needed? For over 2,500 years, seekers have asked the same question. What is the essence of the Buddha's teaching? Some search for it in ancient sutras. Others dive into philosophy, debate, and doctrine. They memorize lists. The Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, the Five Aggregates, the 12 Links of Dependent Origination. But when a student once asked Ajahn Chah, the great Thai forest master, to summarize the Dhamma in just a few words, he smiled and said, "Let go, that's it. Not 1,000 scriptures, not 10 lifetimes of study, just 2 simple words that hold the weight of liberation. Let go." Because all teachings at their core point in that direction. Look closer. The Four Noble Truths begin with dukkha, suffering. But they don't end there. They lead us through the cause, craving, and show the path beyond it. And what is that path really asking of us? To let go of craving, let go of attachment, let go of the thirst that keeps the fire burning. The Eightfold Path sounds technical: right view, right intention, right speech. But each step gently peels away delusion, clinging identity. It's a letting go of harmful habits, of false perceptions, of ego's grip. Even meditation, often seen as a technique to gain peace, isn't about gaining anything at all. It's about noticing what arises and releasing it, not pushing away, not clinging, just seeing, just letting it pass. Because every breath teaches us this: inhale, hold, exhale, let go. Life itself is whispering the Dharma, but we make it complicated. We want advanced techniques, secret mantras, cosmic downloads. We think awakening must be far away, reserved for saints, hermits, monks in caves. But what if it's closer than we think? What if awakening is simply this: the moment you release the grip, not tomorrow, not after 10 retreats, but right here. When you stop fighting what is. Even the Buddha's own story echoes this truth. He didn't find enlightenment by adding more. He left his palace. He left his titles. He even left the extreme asceticism he once clung to. And in the stillness beneath the Bodhi tree, he let go of everything. His desires, his doubts, his self. And there, in that empty space, truth revealed itself. So many of us carry spiritual practice like a backpack full of stones. We turn the teachings into burdens, measuring ourselves by how much we know, how long we sit, how holy we appear. But the Dhamma isn't about becoming more, it's about becoming lighter. It's not a ladder we climb, it's a weight we set down. And every time we cling to identity, I am a meditator, I am spiritual, I am awakened, we miss the point. Because the truth isn't found in who you are. It's found in what you're not. You're not your thoughts. You're not your emotions. You're not your successes or failures or plans. You are what remains when all else falls away. And to get there, you don't need to travel far. You just need to let go. Again and again and again. Let go of the past that haunts you. Let go of the future that scares you. Let go of the need to always be right. Let go of the self that clings. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it feels like dying. But it's only the false self that dies. What's real doesn't disappear. It's revealed. That's the beauty of the Buddha's path. It doesn't ask you to become something. It invites you to unbecome what you never were. And so, one breath at a time, we soften, we loosen, we surrender, and we discover. We were never lost. We were just holding on too tightly. Now, without the need to hold so much, a new question arises. If we've been clinging not just to things, but to who we think we are, then what exactly is this self we keep trying to protect? Let's go deeper. Let's explore the stories we carry, the roles, the masks, the names, and maybe, just maybe, we'll find the courage to set those down too. We live inside stories, not just the ones we read or hear, but the ones we tell ourselves every single day. Stories about who we are, who we're supposed to be, what we deserve, what we fear. I'm not good enough. I'll never be like them. If I can just achieve this, then I'll finally be happy. I'm the smart one. I'm the failure. I am this, I am that. But who told you those stories? And more importantly, why are you still carrying them? The Buddha once said, "There is no fire like desire, no grip like attachment, no net like delusion, and no river like craving." And yet, we clutch tightly to the stories that burn us because they're familiar. They make us feel safe, even if they cage us. See, the ego, that voice in our head constantly narrating life, doesn't want freedom. It wants identity. It wants something to be, even if that something is small or broken or incomplete. It's better than being nobody, right? So we build ourselves, piece by piece, from childhood memories, from compliments and criticisms, from cultural roles, family expectations, social comparisons. And soon, we're not a person anymore. We're a performance, smiling on cue, succeeding for approval, suffering in silence because the role demands it. But the Dharma invites us to ask, who are you without the story? If no one praised you, if no one criticized you, if you stopped trying to be anything at all, what would remain? There's a Zen koan that asks, without using your name, your job, or your past, tell me who you are. Silence often follows because we've forgotten. We've mistaken the mask for the face. But the Buddha never said the ego was evil. He simply said it's empty, not evil, not solid, just constructed. And what is constructed can be deconstructed, not with force, but with awareness. Because the more closely you look at the self, the more it slips through your fingers. Like mist, like smoke, try to find where you begin and end. Are you your body? It changes daily. Your thoughts, they come and go. Your emotions, fleeting. Your memories, unreliable. What's left? A witness, a presence, silent, unshaken, pure. But that's terrifying, isn't it? Because the ego doesn't want silence. It wants drama. It wants to matter. So it feeds on desire. Desire for recognition. Desire for love. Desire for success, validation, power, comfort endlessly. And each desire creates a new story. If I get this, I'll be whole. If I lose this, I'll fall apart. If they love me, I'm worthy. But these stories are contracts with suffering. Because anything we base our worth on can be taken away. And what then? Who are you when the job is gone, when the relationship ends, when the applause fades? This is not a depressing question, it's a doorway. Because when all the stories fall silent, you meet something real, something that doesn't need titles or praise or roles, something deeper than ego, deeper than identity, deeper than desire. And it was there all along, waiting for you to stop performing and just be. So ask yourself lovingly, honestly, what story am I clinging to right now? What role am I unwilling to release? What version of me have I been protecting, even when it hurts? And most of all, am I ready to let it go? Not because it's wrong, but because it's not me. In the next breath, in the next pause between thoughts, you might catch a glimpse, not of who you are, but of what you are not. And in that space, you may feel the first taste of real peace. And now, something unexpected, if even the self is a story. What about the teachings we follow? Are they too something we eventually must release? Let's follow the Buddha a little further, not just to what he taught, but to how he let go even of his own teachings. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a wide river. The current is strong. The other side is unknown, but something in you knows you have to cross. So you build a raft, carefully, methodically, piece by piece, wood, rope, effort, time. You tie it all together. It carries you through the current. And finally, with soaked feet and shaking hands, you reach the far shore. Now what? Do you pick up the raft, hoist it onto your back, and keep dragging it through the forest? Of course not. You leave it because it served its purpose. Because to carry it now would only slow you down. This is how the Buddha described his own teachings: a raft, a vehicle, a means to cross, but not a thing to cling to. He said, my teaching is like a raft. Use it to cross the river, but once you've crossed, do not carry it on your back. Yet how often do we do just that? We take the teachings, the words, the rituals, the forms, and turn them into a new identity. We say, I am a Buddhist, I follow the Eightfold Path, I meditate this way, I recite that chant, I know these sutras. But is that wisdom, or is that just another raft on our back? You see, even spiritual practice can become a cage. Even the path to freedom, if clung to too tightly, becomes another form of bondage. Because clinging is clinging, whether to money or mindfulness, to ego or enlightenment. The Buddha didn't want followers who worshipped his words. He wanted humans who woke up. He didn't ask us to believe blindly. He asked us to see clearly, to use the teachings, not wear them like armor, to taste the truth, not memorize the recipe. And when truth is known, we let the rest go, not in disrespect, but in reverence, because real understanding doesn't need symbols. Real wisdom doesn't need labels. It's like learning how to walk. At first, you need support. A parent's hand, a wall to steady yourself, training wheels. But once you've found your balance, you don't keep holding the hand, you don't carry the wall, you walk on your own. In your own rhythm. The teachings were never meant to be clutched forever. They're meant to be realized. And then, released. There's a beautiful irony here. The path to letting go eventually asks us to let go of the path. Even meditation, even mindfulness, even merit-making. All of it in the end is a finger pointing to the moon. But the finger is not the moon. So don't stare at the finger. Look up. Look beyond. The raft is not the destination. It's just how you get there. And when you've arrived, there's no need to keep rowing. This is why the deepest forms of insight arise not from adding more books, more methods, more words, but from silence, from the space where there's nothing left to cling to, where truth isn't something you learn, but something you become. So ask yourself, what spiritual rafts am I still carrying? What forms, beliefs, techniques do I now wear like identity? Are they still helping me walk? Or are they just weighing me down? It takes great courage to release even what once saved you. But that is the final freedom, to bow in gratitude to the raft and leave it behind. Because now, you know how to swim, and in that stillness, you may sense something new, not a technique, not a doctrine, but a quiet whisper of being. And from that space, you'll begin to understand what letting go really means. Not as a concept, not as a practice, but as a way of being alive. We hear it everywhere. Let go. Just let it go. Don't hold on. But what does that really mean? Does it mean pretending something didn't happen? Does it mean walking away uncaring? Or becoming passive, numb, indifferent? No. Letting go is not giving up. It's not running away. It's not apathy. Letting go is an act of radical wisdom. It is the deepest form of trust. It is the most powerful kind of love. It means this. You stop trying to control what was never yours. You stop forcing a future that doesn't want to arrive. You stop holding your breath, hoping life will follow your script. And you exhale, you breathe again. To let go is not to reject the world. It is to see the world clearly as it is, and stop demanding it be otherwise. It's standing in the middle of change, of chaos, of impermanence, and choosing not to fight. You stop wrestling with reality, you meet it, you bow to it. And in that surrender, not of weakness but of clarity, you find peace. But here's the paradox. Letting go is not something you do. It's something that happens. When you understand deeply enough, you don't force a tree to drop its leaves. When the season comes, the tree simply releases. It doesn't grieve the leaf. It doesn't cling to the branch. It trusts the cycle. It trusts life. And so must we. Letting go isn't about detaching from life. It's about detaching from the illusion that we can possess it. People will come and go. Emotions will rise and fall. Bodies will grow old. Even thoughts will disappear like clouds in the sky. Trying to hold any of it is like grabbing water with your bare hands. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. But let your hands soften, and water rests in your palms. This is the art of letting go. It's soft, it's still, but it's not weak. It's like the ocean, calm on the surface and infinitely deep underneath. It says, I don't need to hold, I just need to be present. Because real presence has no agenda. It doesn't chase, it doesn't resist, it doesn't grasp, it simply allows. allowing sorrow to come. And go, allowing love to bloom. And fade, allowing life to unfold. Without trying to edit the script. This doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we care more purely, not out of fear, not out of attachment, but out of compassion and clarity. Letting go is when love no longer says, "I need you to be mine," but instead whispers, "I honor your path, even if it doesn't include me." It's when we don't chase happiness, but let happiness find us, when we stop clinging to the flower and simply sit in its fragrance. In Buddhist practice, letting go is not the end. It's the beginning. It's not the death of effort. It's the birth of effortless effort, where action flows without force, where speech arises without ego, where love exists without fear of loss. This is not detachment from life. It is intimacy with life, without clutching, without demand, without trying to freeze a moment in time, because you realize the beauty of the moment is its passing, like the scent of rain, the shimmer of candlelight, the sound of a bird before it takes flight. You don't hold it, you don't trap it. You simply bow, and that bow, that gentle, invisible bow, is letting go. No fanfare, no ceremony, just a quiet shift in the heart, from gripping to trusting, from forcing to flowing. And once you taste that freedom, you'll begin to see something extraordinary. Letting go was never about loss. It was always about coming home. There's a silence, not born from the absence of sound, but from the absence of struggle. It's the silence you feel, not when the world grows quiet, but when you do. This is the power of release, but release of what? Not just of things, not just of people, not even of pain or joy. No, it's the release of your need for things to be anything other than they are. It is the release of self. You see, we often think of freedom as gaining, more control, more success, more peace. But the Buddha pointed to something radically different. He said, true freedom is found not in adding but in emptying, not in possession, but in letting go of the one who clings. Emptiness, or sunyata, is not a void to be feared. It's the vast clear sky, from which everything arises, and to which everything returns. It is the quiet womb of wisdom, the space where illusions collapse, the moment when you stop chasing and start seeing. When you sit in that stillness, you begin to realize you are not your story, you are not your name, you are not even your thoughts or memories. You are the space in which all of that appears and disappears. The space is not empty like a hole in the ground. It is empty like the sky, free, open, and full of light. That's why the Buddha taught that emptiness is not nothing. It is everything freed from attachment. When we hold on, we collapse the world into a narrow tunnel. My wants, my pain, my opinions, my story. But when we release, the tunnel opens into a vast field. Suddenly, everything breathes again. Letting go, true letting go, is not dramatic, it is not loud, it is not a war you win. It is the moment you stop fighting altogether. That's its silent power. A clenched fist feels strong, but holds nothing. An open palm seems vulnerable, but receives the whole sky. The wise do not boast, they do not grasp, they walk lightly, because they carry nothing, and in that nothing is peace. You may wonder, if I let go of everything, what is left of me? That's the koan. That's the gate you walk through, because only when you release who you think you are, do you meet who you've always been. Not a separate, anxious self grasping at the world, but a boundless awareness, awake, compassionate, and free. This is the wisdom of emptiness. It's not a cold philosophy. It's the warm silence of a monk sweeping fallen leaves. It's the still gaze of the Buddha beneath the Bodhi tree. It's the presence of someone who listens without needing to speak. No armor, no agenda, just the clarity of a mind that no longer clings. Emptiness is the space in which truth can echo, where suffering dissolves, where joy is no longer bound by conditions. And once you touch it, you begin to move through the world differently, not avoiding, not chasing, just being. And that is more powerful than any possession. So the next time life feels heavy, ask yourself, what am I holding? And if you can find the courage to loosen your grip, even just a little, you'll hear it. That silence, that gentle falling away, that quiet power that says, this too can be released. And in that release, you do not vanish, you awaken. Letting go isn't a grand performance. It doesn't require a cave in the Himalayas, or robes or chants, or long retreats in silence. Letting go is what happens in the small, invisible choices, the ones no one sees. It happens when you take a deep breath and decide not to argue back, when you smile at someone who hurt you, not because they were right, but because you no longer need to be. It happens when you clean your home, not just to organize your space, but to clear your mind, when you delete a message you wrote in anger, when you walk away from gossip, when you choose simplicity over drama, presence over noise, peace over being right. This is the practice of living lightly. Letting go in daily life isn't about giving everything up. It's about giving up the tightness around everything. You still eat, love, work, dream, but you hold it all gently. A Buddhist teacher once said, "Live as if you're already dead." It sounds bleak until you realize what it means. It means live without fear of loss. Because when you've let go of needing anything to stay, you can finally love it as it is. That's the paradox. Letting go doesn't make life dull, it makes it more vivid. When you don't cling to the moment, you start to actually see it. The sound of rain becomes music. A stranger's smile becomes a miracle. A meal becomes sacred, because you're not somewhere else in your head. You're here. Think of all the things we carry in a single day, regret over a past we can't change, worry about a future we can't control, grudges, expectations, to-do lists scribbled on the walls of our minds. No wonder we're tired. But what if, just for one moment, you set it all down? What if you walked through your day with nothing to prove? What if you let people be wrong sometimes, and it didn't make you any smaller? What if you gave your full attention to the sound of your own footsteps? There is a monk in Thailand who teaches this simple practice. When walking from one place to another, he always takes a breath and silently says, "Let go." One step, let go. Another step, let go. By the time he arrives, he's not just in a new room, he's in a new state of being. You don't have to become a monk to live like this. You only have to choose to carry less. That means less judgment of yourself and others, less rushing, less needing things to go your way. You begin to notice the tension in your shoulders, and you soften. You hear your mind grasping for control, and you smile, like you would at a child trying to hold the wind. That's how the practice deepens, not all at once, but moment by moment. Letting go is like exhaling. You don't do it once. You do it again and again, naturally, rhythmically, each time coming back to stillness. So maybe tomorrow, when the alarm rings, instead of dreading the day, you sit up slowly, take one conscious breath, and whisper, "Let go." When traffic builds, let go. When someone interrupts you, forgets you, misunderstands you, let go. Not because you're weak, but because your peace is stronger than your need to be seen. And then something beautiful happens. You become light, not empty like a hollow shell, but light like a feather, able to float with the wind. Because you are no longer anchored by resistance, people will feel it. Your presence will soften a room. Your words will carry weight, not because you say more, but because you cling less. And when others are caught in the storm, they'll look at you, calm, still, grounded, and wonder how you're not drowning. You'll smile and know you're not holding the storm, You're letting it pass. That's the gift of living lightly, not to escape life, but to move through it. With open hands and an open heart. There's a silence beyond silence, a peace that doesn't come and go, a freedom that isn't earned, only uncovered. Buddhists call it Nirvana, not a place, not a heaven above the clouds, but the end of clinging, the extinguishing of grasping, craving, becoming. The fire finally goes out. For most of our lives, we've been chasing freedom. Freedom from pain, freedom to do what we want, freedom from rules, from responsibilities, from time. But what if the real freedom isn't about getting more, but needing less? What if the deepest peace isn't found by changing the world around us, but by no longer needing it to be any different? Imagine carrying a burning torch. It lights your way but slowly scorches your hand. You think, maybe if I grip it tighter, the pain will stop. But it doesn't, it never does, until one day you simply let it go. That's Nirvana. It's not dramatic. It's not even emotional. It's more like a still pond. After years of storms, you begin to see clearly, not because you finally got what you wanted, but because the wanting itself dissolved. Many people misunderstand this. They think letting go means becoming detached, cold, uncaring. But Nirvana isn't emptiness as in absence. It's emptiness as in space, room for everything, but ownership of nothing. You can love deeply without fear of losing. You can act wisely without needing control. You can feel fully without drowning. This is the heart of Buddhist freedom. To no longer be ruled by the push and pull of your own mind. No more being dragged by desire. No more running from fear, just here, now untouched. The Buddha once said, Nibbana is the highest happiness, but it's not the happiness of excitement or thrill. It's the quiet joy of being undisturbed. Most people live like leaves in the wind, tossed by praise and blame, gain and loss, pleasure and pain. But one who has let go is like a mountain, unmoved. This doesn't mean they don't feel. It means they're not enslaved by feelings. Imagine what it would be like to walk through your day and not be swayed by what others think, to hear criticism and not crumble, to receive praise and not become inflated, to lose something dear and not collapse, to gain something rare and not cling. That's true freedom, a freedom that isn't given to you by the world, and so cannot be taken by it. It's the still center in the cyclone, the open sky behind every cloud. It's not peace when things go well. It's peace regardless. But here's the beautiful paradox. The more we let go, the freer we become, and the more connected we feel, not to outcomes, but to life itself. You no longer love someone because they fit your image. You love them because they are. You no longer find beauty in what pleases you. You see beauty in everything that is, because you've stopped demanding it change. Letting go doesn't make life smaller. It opens the door to a vastness you never knew was possible. That's Nirvana, not escape, but complete arrival, nothing missing, nothing to fix, no self to defend, no future to chase, only this. Only now, only presence. Deep, boundless, and unshakable. So when someone asks, what do Buddhists ultimately seek? You can smile and say, nothing, because in that nothing is the most profound freedom there is. There's an old story, simple, but it carries the whole of the Buddha's path within it. Two monks were traveling together. They came upon a river swollen with rain. By the bank stood a woman in fine clothes, unable to cross. The elder monk, without hesitation, lifted her onto his back and carried her across. On the other side, he gently set her down. She bowed, he nodded, and they continued walking in silence. Hours passed. The younger monk's brow furrowed. His steps grew heavy with unspoken thought. Finally, unable to contain it, he burst out, "Brother, we monks are not supposed to touch women. Why did you do that?" The elder monk turned calmly and said, "I put her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This is the teaching, all of it. We carry so much. Regrets, grudges, what they said, what we should have done, images of who we're supposed to be. Weights no one sees, but that bend our backs and harden our hearts, and we think letting go is something passive, like giving up, but in truth, letting go is the most courageous act of all. It means walking through life with open hands. It means choosing presence over possession, forgiveness over blame, peace over pride. You've heard teachings. You've explored desire, ego, identity. You've sat with the silence of emptiness. You've tasted the power of release. And now here you are. At the river, maybe there's something you still carry. A memory, a name, a version of yourself. Pause. Feel it, and now, just like the monk, can you place it down, not to forget it, but to stop being owned by it? Letting go isn't the end of the journey. It is the journey, again and again, moment by moment, choice by choice, like leaves falling in autumn, without regret, like the river flowing on, not asking where it ends. This is the beauty of the Buddhist path. You don't need to add anything to yourself. You only need to release what is truly you. And what remains? Stillness, clarity, compassion, freedom. So if this story has stirred something in you, let it be the beginning of your own release. Start small, a thought, a grudge, a fear. And when you let it go, really let it go, you may find something waiting beneath the noise. A peace that has always been there, a freedom that cannot be taken, a presence that needs nothing. But this breath, this moment, this life, you've come to the river, the burden is yours to set down. And in that letting go, you may just find everything. If something in this story touched a quiet place in you, if you felt a moment of stillness or saw a reflection of your own path, you're not alone. This space, Zen Buddhism wisdom, was created for seekers like you, for those who are ready to remember what they've always known, to listen between the words, and to let go one breath at a time. If this resonates with your journey, you're warmly invited to subscribe, not just to follow, but to pause with us, to sit with what matters. And if you know someone carrying their own quiet burden, feel free to share this story with them. Sometimes a gentle reminder is all it takes to begin again. Until next time, may your path be light and your heart even lighter.